Part 7. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 61. There are two temples in Diaokan, the Temple of Light and the Temple of Poseidon. Human forces generally believe in the god of light, while pirates and the navy generally believe in one more Poseidon. In the world of magic planets, most forces allow people to believe in multiple gods. I heard that the fleet will be reorganized in the city for several days. The researcher wanted to go back to the adventure map through the temple first. I don't know where I will be teleported to. The researcher followed Yin to the Temple of Poseidon. As natives of the strategic map, Yin and his friends would not use the temple's teleportation function unless they are directly under the player. The system has long said that they will not make a fuss about players disappearing and reappearing in the temple. The researcher also specifically looked at whether there was a task to change jobs to become a hero. The system showed that the researcher was directly under Li Huamei, and could not apply for a job change without her permission. As expected. The researcher nodded. Since he could not change jobs, he would teleport. The system displays, the player researcher has no starting point for teleportation. Do you want to perform random teleportation to the adventure map? The researcher quickly refuses. Isn't this idle? The researcher will teleport randomly. Is the temple still needed? The system prompts again, please select the race or country of the teleportation destination. Oh! Xiaoming wiped his cold sweat. It turns out that there is still a choice. The system prompted random teleportation before because the researcher did not belong to a force. He was equivalent to sneaking to the strategic map. The sneaking was successful, and the system was more open when it was sent back to the adventure map. Xiaoming thought for a long time and felt that in order to expand his international trade circle, it would be better to enter a new territory other than humans, undead, and sea people. Since the players have been in the Magic Planet game for too short a time, it is only the 4th day. Basically, everyone does not know what country they are in. The highest level players are still at level 1 and cannot even enter small cities. They know nothing about the distribution of forces and countries. Xiaoming is the same. So Xiaoming couldn't choose by country, so he had to choose by race. The special race system does not allow selection. Among the common races, only the orcs and elves are left. The orcs are still hostile to humans, so according to Xiaoming's idea, there is actually no choice. He can only choose the elves. There is both the Temple of Poseidon and the territory of the elves. As expected, the researcher appeared on a large island on the adventure map. Walking out of the Temple of Poseidon, Xiaoming saw that the island itself was a small elf city. The city was built on the mountain and occupied a large hillside on this side. As for whether it extended to a farther place, Xiaoming couldn't tell yet. At the bottom of the hillside, it was connected to the sea. You can see the shipyard and the port. There are several medium and small ships moored in the port. You can also see several fishing boats fishing on the sea in the distance. The city of the elves is very different from that of humans. All the buildings in the city are accompanied by plants and will not damage the environment. The whole city is full of greenery. Various animals can be seen everywhere on the streets. There are many kinds of animals, big, small, flying, and running. Xiaoming also finds it difficult to distinguish which is a real animal and which is transformed by a druid. In such a city, Xiaoming only feels relaxed and happy, and his life is prolonged. The researcher who walks out of the temple is automatically recognized by the city system. The researcher is assumed to be a citizen of the city. If Xiaoming had known this earlier, he would have gone to the orcs. No elves would be curious about how the researcher, a human, got in here. As he wished, he came to the city of the elves. The first task he chose was to open the map. In fact, it was just shopping. He went in to appreciate the buildings when he saw them, and bought something when he saw the shops. He was more like a tourist. Traveling in this city built on the mountain, going up and down the slopes is really a bit tiring. After a while, Xiaoming roughly understood the basic situation. This area is an archipelago on the sea, with 6 or 7 large islands and n small islands. The elves here were stranded here after a shipwreck about 20 years ago. After 20 years of exploration and construction, this elf tribe has taken root here. This small city is called Tanshan City, which is the only city in the archipelago. There are towns and villages of the elves on the nearby islands. To be able to develop to such a scale in 20 years, this elf tribe is still very capable. Tanshan City has also built a shipyard that can build medium-sized ships. Unfortunately, within the safe range of navigation, only some small islands can be seen. There is no trace of land. There are no creatures in the archipelago that can pose a threat to the elves. But there are in the sea. Sea creatures and aquatic creatures are serious threats. The power of the elves can protect the safety of the archipelago and the coastal areas. It is very dangerous to sail far, which is also the biggest reason why it is difficult to find land. Another reason is that medium-sized ships are not very suitable for ocean voyages. There are relatively few material storages. The resistance to various dangers is not sufficient, especially for the current ocean voyage with an uncertain future. If you want to sail in the ocean, you must build large ships, or even giant ships. With the strength of the elves in Tanshan City, it is still wishful thinking for the time being. Therefore, most elves have given up their dream of returning to the land and instead settled down to live a stable life here. Tanshan Islands is vast and rich in resources. It is enough for this elf tribe to develop for a long time. Xiaoming felt that time was not short, so he arranged for the researcher to continue to open the map, and he switched to the informer. Here, the informer arranged for Funnel Village to build a level 1 magic tower. Xiaoming's wallet is now full and willful. He took out 2,000 gold coins, but he still blinked. The level 1 magic in the magic tower is Magic Arrow, the most common damage magic in level 1 magic. All magic system talents will provide bonuses to this magic. It is a very useful magic at all stages of the game. Unfortunately, in order to save time, Xiaoming did not plan to let the informer go back to Funnel Village to learn magic. The hero Nim the Undying has arrived near the temple and his mobility has been exhausted. In order to get here in time, Nim only picked up the resources closest to the main road. Seeing that the crystal mine and sulfur mine were not occupied, of course his troops could not beat the guards. The informer led the troops to hand over to him. When the heroes are handed over, they can exchange troops, treasures, etc. Use 50 crossbow skeleton soldiers to replace the skeleton soldiers in Nim's troops. The zombies are also handed over to Katagiri to lead. The 4 ghosts should be left to Nim. When his mobility is replenished, he can lead the troops to fight back. 50 level 1 ranged are enough at this stage. The current forces of the dead are 58 zombies from Katagiri, 50 pirates from Date Cocoon, and 29 crossbow skeleton soldiers. Xiaoming's plan is to let the dead enter the southeast map from here, develop it, pick up some bargains, and then turn to the north map. That happens to be the current map in the east, go there to find clues to complete the witch's mission. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 62. The dead army came to the checkpoint and merged the dozen skeleton soldiers that were previously placed here into their own army. Only 3 level 1 strong crossbow skeleton soldiers were left to guard the checkpoint. The army advanced along the main road. The resources on the roadside would never be missed. Just after crossing the border of the map, there was a dwarf army blocking the intersection. There were 45 of them in total. Dwarves are a level 2 soldier of the elves. They have thick skin and flesh, and are resistant to magic. The disadvantage is that they are slow, similar to zombies. They are more practical than zombies. It is relatively easy to defeat such short-legged troops. First, open up the distance and attack remotely. When the enemy troops approach, use 2 troops with only 1 zombie to resist the attack, slow down the opponent's advance speed and deceive the counter-attack. Then Katagiri's zombie army and Zai's pirate army rushed up to cut and kill. In the next round, the archers and 2 melee troops are faster than the opponent, and they all end the CD delay first and enter the next round of attack. At this time, the dwarf troops had been completely destroyed, and the remaining kittens could no longer defeat the melee troops of the dead teller who was covered with stone skin. The battle was over, and the few zombies that were lost had recovered through the effects of necromancy and the amulet of the dead. The skeleton troops of the dead teller were also strengthened. After the main road was opened, Xiaoming felt that the new map was richer than the map of Funnel Village. The map level must be higher. Picked up a lot of gold coins and resources. Occupied a sulfur mine and a gold mine. Killed some small groups of wild monsters. Left the main road a little bit and defeated a 4th level ogre army of about 19. Although it was high level, it was a pity that the speed was too slow. The zombie army suffered some losses. They were killed. The key point was to get the 2nd level treasure bone breastplate guarded by the ogre army. A treasure with strategic strength add 2, the effect is average, only slightly better than nothing. But the most important thing is that the bone breastplate is one of the components of the combination treasure Cursed Armor. Cursed Armor is also a treasure that is relatively easy to combine successfully, and the actual combat effect is super strong. It is a combination treasure with a very high cost performance. Xiaoming has enhanced the bone breastplate with superpowers. It also has some functions of combination treasures. At the beginning of the battle, all enemies will be slowed down for 15 minutes. Slowing down, it can reduce the speed of the selected enemy troops by 25%. This effect is absolutely super strong. Especially for the long-range combat methods such as the dead teller. Of course, if the enemy is also a long-range unit, then you have to compete with each other for damage. I don't have any soldiers who can quickly suppress or limit the enemy's long range. My advantage is that the crossbow skeleton soldiers are very cheap. I don't feel bad if some die. There are many resources in the high-level map, many accessible buildings, and many wild monsters. The dead teller almost attacks all the way forward. The most encountered resource is still bones, which shows that this map is mostly the land of the dead. The corpses in high-level maps are also rich. You can often die and harvest military equipment, and occasionally you can get skeleton soldiers. Even if there is no harvest, the final decay will get more death breath and bones. Xiaoming suspects that the corpses also have levels. It's just that it is a hidden attribute and can't be seen. Attacked an abandoned mine and killed about 150 cavemen. Restored the production of this gem mine. Cavemen are the first-level soldiers of the dungeon forces. The combat effectiveness is slightly weaker than the skeleton soldiers. It's just that there are more. Because of the special effects of the enhanced bone breastplate, the opponent's speed is slower. The accused of the dead kite until death. Instead, a lot of troops have been added. At the intersection, I saw another warrior's tomb. I visited and found that this warrior's tomb is quite special. It has a plot mission. The army of the accused of the dead here defeated 5 waves of enemy attacks in a row. It is a first-level soldier of various races. The number rose from 50 to 150. But none of them posed any threat to the accused of the dead. I can only sigh that the combination treasure is awesome, even if it is discounted, the effect is super strong. Otherwise, even if the dead teller wins, it will be a miserable victory. How can it be as easy as it is now, and it can also obtain a large number of troops? After defeating these 5 waves of enemies, the dead teller rescued 30 level 3, level 20 soldiers trapped in the cemetery, Iron Gate zombies. As a level 3 creature, the Iron Gate zombie has more attack and defense attributes, damage and health than the level 2 zombie. The main thing is that the defense is much stronger, and holding the iron gate can also play a certain role in resisting long-range effects. Could it be that these iron gates have held on for so long? This unit certainly joined the army of the dead teller and belonged to Katagiri Kiwaner. After the battle, the death harvest was used on the warrior's tomb, and more than a dozen skeleton soldiers were harvested. Is this because there are too many soldiers and creatures who died in the battle here, so skeleton soldiers were harvested? Xiaoming doesn't know. Fighting consumes action power. After so many battles, the death reporter's mobility was running low. He stopped in the cemetery. The military strength has expanded to, Command 203/210. Almost full. Death reporter add 103 skeleton soldiers, date palm add 50 pirates. Katagiri cutting circle add 99 zombies, including 30 Iron Gate zombies. Xiaoming did not switch roles immediately. Instead, he began to study the types of soldiers under the death reporter's subordinates. While concentrating on thinking, Xiaoming suddenly discovered that his teacher's mind beast appeared silently beside him. Holding his chin, he was concentrating on thinking like himself. It turns out that telekinesis can also be used in the Magic Planet game. Xiaoming thought to himself that he was not sincere enough. It is estimated that Zhang Wen must have discovered this earlier than him. Teacher's mind beast is not suitable for Xiaoming's current problem. Xiaoming decided to develop the fourth mind beast, which the object of this mind beast cannot be Zhang Wen's mind beast. It can only be developed out of thin air according to the principle. For this reason, Xiaoming also went to the Hunter's secret realm, where the growth and recovery speed of telekinesis are fast. After more than 2 hours of tossing, Xiaoming finally developed the Witch Mind Beast. This is also due to the high quality of his superpowers. The masters of the Hunter's secret realm did not develop mind beasts as fast as him. Of course, this is also due to the fact that the secret realm is a game. After all, it is not a completely real world. The costume of the mind beast is naturally dressed like a witch. It's just that the fabric used is a little saved. The Witch Mind Beast temporarily specializes in the undead. Research and develop new undead soldiers with Xiaoming. Another half an hour passed. There was no progress in the skeleton soldiers. However, there were significant research results in the zombies, a new zombie type of level 2, level 10, the Rot Thrower zombie. As the name suggests, this is a long-range type. It throws rotten flesh with disease on its body. The ranged attack power is slightly weaker, but the chance of the thrown rotten flesh infecting the enemy is 10% higher than the disease. The number of ammunition for each battle is 24. After the battle, the flesh and blood of the enemy corpse is needed to replenish the ammunition. It sounds disgusting. The system will definitely not actively display the process of replenishing ammunition. It must be mosaicked. Players with special hobbies can apply for no mosaic. It is hard to say whether the nine-tailed fox will approve it. The most important thing is that this kind of zombie must be a normal zombie of level 2, level 10 before Xiaoming can transform it with his superpowers. Zombies below level 10 cannot be transformed. So for the time being, there are only 8 Rot Thrower zombies in Katagiri's team. In this process, the witch played a big role. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 63. The strategic level of the informant exceeded level 9, but was less than level 10. There was no substantial improvement. The strategic level of General Katagiri was raised to level 5. The improvement in strength was quite obvious. He gained a new talent, offensive, primary passive increase the melee attack of the troops by 10%. The strategic attributes were raised to 6, 3, 1, 3. The upper limit of the command power was increased by 110. Now the command power is 258/550. At the same time, his adventure level was also raised to level 6, and the single attribute was also enhanced. Xiaoming and the witch both had a little regret that they could not let Katagiri learn to throw rotten meat. The main reason was that Katagiri was a melee general who used a spear. It was a bit incompatible to give him a long-range ability. He couldn't learn to throw rotten meat. He wanted to equip him with a javelin or a crossbow, but his favorability was not enough, and he himself was unwilling. Even though Katagiri's favorability increased by 10 points due to the appearance of new soldiers, he was still unwilling. Xiaoming was helpless against such a stubborn guy. Xiaoming switched roles. There was nothing important on the diver's side. The explorer had already returned to Wushan town. Xiao Error automatically handed over the task of recruiting the guard team. The newly recruited servants and Tang Long's parents were arranged in the mansion. Lu Xiaomei was also temporarily arranged in the mansion. The tailor shop could not be arranged for the time being. Xiaoming planned to talk to shopkeeper Huo tomorrow. Han Dong on the strategic map was not in a position where he could be teleported back, and Qiu Santung could not go there immediately. So he was arranged by Xiao Era in the mansion with the servants. These servants were equivalent to guards. Xiao Era also accepted a green task of leading the ascetics to pray in the Huo's Chamber of Commerce. Because the worship level of the explorer Huo's Chamber of Commerce has been upgraded to sea level, it is possible to receive such a task. The task requires leading 10 ascetic fellows of the Huo's Chamber of Commerce to pray together for 100 minutes. There is no difficulty, just a waste of time. It just so happens that the explorer also needs to pray, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. After arranging these 2 places, Xiaoming switched to the researcher. The researcher has been teleported back to the strategic map. People are different when they have an organization. Look, he has been assigned another house. The Li family pirates gave the researcher a big house. It is bigger than the one given by the Huo's Chamber of Commerce. Of course, the Huo's Chamber of Commerce also deliberately kept a low profile. From the conversation, Huo Yingde, at this level, didn't know that the explorer had become Guo Jinsong's true disciple. In order to cover up the explorer, the news was hidden very well. It is possible that the shopkeeper Huo could guess a little from the treatment of the explorer. And this person who has become a spirit will definitely not talk nonsense. In addition to this house, the Li family also arranged a private workshop for the researcher on the seaside, next to the shipyard. The scale is not small. At present, the researcher is making a canoe in the workshop. There is another general practicing sword in the room. It is not the tour guide Yan Duque, but a He clan swordsman Xing Ju Bai Mu. He serves as a close combat general in the fleet. What I like most is to practice swordsmanship. But no matter how Xiaoming looked at it, he felt that the weapon he practiced should be called a knife. How can a sword be sharpened on one side? This person doesn't seem to be the same as me. Why would he practice swordsmanship in his own workshop? After checking the system records of the intelligent program, I understood the situation. After the researcher returned to the strategic map, the leader Li Huamei held a grand banquet in the tavern. Hundreds of people from the Li family pirates came and went to warmly welcome the new general researcher. After the banquet, he was given a house. Li Huamei brought several generals to congratulate the researcher's new home. After that, Li Huamei and Yang Zhou naturally went back to handle official business. They were very busy. Because Yan was anxious about his canoe troops, he arranged a seaside workshop for the researcher. He took the researcher to the workshop to start work. And pulled the other 2 generals James Reed and Sober Beimu to help. For the sake of overtime pay, the researcher worked hard to speed up the production of canoes. James was frivolous and liked to have fun. He was bored and found an excuse to run away after staying for a while. When there were only 2 or 3 canoes left, Yan also left to arrange the stationing of the canoe troops and other matters. There was actually nothing to do after Jeju. But it didn't matter where he practiced sword. So he practiced in the workshop. The researcher's side was almost finished. After Xiaoming took over, he finished all the work seriously. Immediately, the sailors moved the last few canoes out. Xiaoming felt a little sorry. He originally wanted to change the combination of puppets on the canoe. Experiment with a more reasonable combination of arms. But the intelligent program would not consider such things. Xiaoxier only made all the canoes according to the original combination of 2 infantry, 1 scout, and 1 crossbowman. Alas, this experiment will have to wait until next week. Seeing that the researcher's work had been completed, Xingju immediately asked the researcher to help him make some puppets to practice swordsmanship. No one in the fleet was willing to practice with this martial arts fanatic. Even if the wooden sword hit his body, it would hurt. Yan and Li Huamei's swordsmanship could compete with him, and Yang Ziyu's gun skills were also good. But these 3 were executives who were busy with all kinds of affairs, so how could they have time to practice with Xingju? Here we can also see the lack of talent in the Li family. Especially the middle-level talent. There was nothing that Xingju could do. He practiced alone most of the time, and occasionally chopped the immobile wooden man. Finally, a person who could make automatic puppets came to the fleet. Xingju was overjoyed. Puppets can fight back and multiple puppets can attack you together, which is much more useful than wooden men. The most important thing is that the puppets will not feel pain when they are chopped, and they will not hurt people if they are broken. The researcher can continue to use them after repairing them. It is simply the most ideal practice tool. Xiaoming checked it and explained to Xingju regretfully. His production quota for this week has been filled, and he can no longer make puppet troops. Xingju's face immediately became depressed, and he felt like his dream was ruined. But then, Xiaoming gave Xingju a pretty good idea. Let Xingju find Yan's canoe troops to conduct a tactical battle exercise. As for the specific details of the exercise, how many canoes Yan will use, whether Xingju will go alone or in a team, then they can arrange it themselves. Xiaoming believes that through this tactical confrontation exercise, Yan can practice the combat command ability of the canoe troops, and Xingju can practice swordsmanship and boarding battle ability. After listening to Xiaoming's suggestion, Xingju said thank you coolly and went out to find Yan. This guy is cold on the outside but warm on the inside. The system prompts that the favorability add 10 will not lie. Yan also increased his favorability by 10 points. However, that was because the researcher worked hard to rush to make Yan's canoe troops as quickly as possible. This gave 10 points of favorability. Xiaoming strongly despised it. Not long after, the system prompted that Yan's favorability was add 10 again. Xiaoming was calm. It is estimated that Xingju found him and told him about the exercise. He did not hide that it was the researcher's idea. This idea is worth 1,000 words in Yan's eyes. If Xiaoming's prediction is correct, Li Huamei and Yang Ziyu's favorability will also increase soon. I am such a dazzling person. Okay, he is floating again. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 64. On the seashore of Diaokan, the researcher was swaying and walking in the gentle sea breeze. The sticky and wet sea breeze brought a little discomfort, but also brought tranquility and beauty. The moonlight flowed and danced playfully on the sea. It cast a sparkling light. It seemed that a group of light elves were running, playing on the sea. Xiaoming walked along the coast, enjoying the scenery. From a distance, it was the red light reflecting the sky in the water fort of the Li family pirates. When he came closer, under the shade of countless torches, it was indeed Xingju and Yan who were fighting. Xingju was assigned a puppet canoe, and Xingju controlled the boat to shuttle through Yan's fleet. Braving the arrows from all directions, Xingju drove the boat to the near side, and then jumped onto other boats for close combat. After defeating a ship, he jumped back to his own ship and continued to attack the next target. As Yian's ship dispatch became more and more skilled and reasonable, Xingju's situation became more and more difficult. Yian hesitated whether to let go, so that it could play a role in training soldiers. The researcher got excited at this time and joined the battle. Why can the researcher intervene in such a battle? Time needs to go back a little bit. Xiaoming worked hard to complete the task of making a canoe. So he went out to stroll along the beach to relax. At the same time, he did not forget to play the secret game in his hand. The system sent a gratifying prompt. This time, the game of finger-flicking magic gave a reward. After a long period of practice in the past few days, the finger-flicking magic game finally broke through a small stage. The system gave a reward. This reward is not as exaggerated as the game of Arctic ice. It is just a small skill primary coin flick. It is applicable to all games and secrets that use round metal currency. When Xiaoming decides to use this skill, a coin waiting to be flicked will appear in his left hand. Xiaoming can flick this coin and shoot the target he wants to attack. Its power is automatically adjusted according to the game or secret. It is about equivalent to 80% of the player character's attack power. What is consumed is the player's funds. What? Are you using the finger-snapping skill or the gamble of the universe? It actually costs money. In the Magic Planet, the primary coin shooting consumes only copper coins, and if it is upgraded, it will consume silver coins or even gold coins. As the consumption increases, the power will also increase accordingly. Xiaoming still thinks that the primary level is good. The primary level is good. We can still afford copper coins. How painful it is to shoot gold coins. Alas, this is the mentality of losers. I saw the researcher standing tall by the water. He took a standing output posture. The coins in his left hand kept shooting at Yian's fleet, and the main target of the shooting was the crossbow puppet on each ship. Because Xiaoming was unable to improve the organization of the canoe according to his wishes, there was only one crossbow puppet on each ship, and the range and firepower were insufficient. Because of the position problem, the two infantrymen in close combat could not form a joint attack on the Sobring, and the scouts were even less useful in this kind of battle. This is a problem caused by a single organization. Specialized battles should be designed with specialized military units. This does not mean that the original unit was wrong. The original canoe was the mercenary of the researcher, an independent combat unit. That is why it combines reconnaissance, long range and close combat. That was a more appropriate choice at the time. Let's stop talking and focus on the battle. Yian was also caught off guard by the sudden attack of the researcher at the beginning. The pressure of sobering up was greatly reduced. Although the coin cannot cause strong damage to the puppet quickly, but the impact of the attack can affect the output of the puppet. Yian quickly adjusted his tactics, and some canoes began to shoot at the researcher. The researcher who was attacked had to dodge the arrows while shooting back. With the attack of sobering up, the battle became a stalemate again. Yian controlled the rhythm, maintained the offensive against the two, and was careful not to defeat any of them at once. Seeing that the researcher's evasion ability was very poor, he also paid special attention to slightly reducing his pressure. After he became more proficient, he increased the pressure appropriately. At the same time, he concentrated on practicing his dispatching ability. The injured canoe retreated, and the intact canoe went to the front line. Pay attention to the density of arrow shooting, keep a distance from the sobering, etc. With Yian's release, the two of them barely tied with him. Yian only commanded the boats to fight, and did not personally take action. You know, the elves' archery is unique. Yian was also ruthless and made full use of resources. He fought until the researcher and the sobering were exhausted, and then ended the exercise. Both of them suffered some minor injuries. Yian's canoe troops were also scarred. There was not a single intact one left. Only Yian was unscathed. Although the Li family did not have an alchemist who could develop and make puppets, there were still alchemy apprentices who could repair injured puppets. Repairing these canoes gave these apprentices the opportunity to increase their experience. Only a few of them were seriously injured and needed to be carried to the researcher's workshop for him to repair personally. Xiaoming also summoned the nurse beast to heal himself and Xingju. Xiaoming didn't let her show up, so the others shouldn't be able to see it either, right? Xingju's swordsmanship was quite measured, even in this battle where he was at a disadvantage. He didn't accidentally cut any of the puppets beyond repair. Xiaoming was secretly impressed. How could he know that it was not that Xingju did not want to chop to his heart's content, but that he really did not dare to do so? Before the battle, Yian did not give any quota for the losses in the exercise. If he let Yian's fleet lose personnel in a non-combat manner, Yian's revenge would definitely make him suffer. High IQ suppression is not something that only Colonel Chu can do. Although it has not reached the level of cherish life and stay away from Yian. But almost no one in the Li family fleet dares to cause trouble to Yian. Only James, the idiot, did not learn his lesson. He always provokes Yian carelessly, and is pitted half to death by Yian in return. He still does not learn his lesson. This has become a unique landscape of the Li family fleet. The three of them sat together and discussed the gains and losses in the battle. Yian mainly talked, and the other two listened obediently. Yian's summary is indeed better than the two. Xiaoming also mentioned the problem of canoe compilation at this time. Yian agreed deeply. Before the next week, Yian and Xiaoming will further study this issue. At the same time, the three of them also agreed to do this kind of confrontational exercises frequently in the future. Xingju felt that he and the researcher, one long range and the other close combat, were invincible if they cooperated well. Xiaoming felt that this could practice the ability of mobile shooting. Yian felt that the researcher's skill of coin flicking had great prospects. It was most suitable for playing a role in a chaotic battle. Especially in a boarding battle, when the enemy and us were intertwined. Bows and crossbows, which took a long time to prepare, were suppressed. The skill of the researcher who could shoot coins at will could play a big role. It was very similar to the hidden weapon attack in martial arts novels. Yian wanted to cultivate the researcher's ability to observe the overall situation. Shoot the coins to the most needed place at any time. It was not about how to kill the enemy, but mainly to disrupt the enemy's battle rhythm. Xiaoming realized that his painful life was about to begin. You must know that the researcher controlled by the intelligent program would not flick coins. So Xiaoming had to do this exercise himself. I hope that I, a half-baked man, can hold on. Yian said that it was not just the three of them. He would propose to Li Huamei that the entire army should conduct tactical exercises regularly. Xiaoming and Xingju shrank their necks at the same time, hoping that the brothers would not blame them in the future. It was all Yian's fault. Xiaoming, don't you feel guilty? Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 65. Although the game is not over yet. Xiaoming is really tired after a long battle. He exited the game. It was already 7:15 p.m. He lay on his back on his bed and took a rest. Maomoer appeared and squatted on Xiaoming's chest. You have no weight, why don't you float? Why are you pretending to be artistic? Xiaoming could only complain in his heart and didn't have the strength to speak. He fell asleep in a daze. Until he was woken up by Zhang Wen. Dinner, midnight snack, was over. Seeing that Xiaoming was in good spirits, Xiao Jing'er and brother Wen were relieved. The atmosphere at the dinner table became lively. The three talked about interesting things in the game. Xiao Jing still kept her mouth shut about her character. She didn't tell anyone. Zhang Wen's game character is called Ximen Chuijian, and he is now a level 1, Level 6 Elf Swordsman. Thinking about the image of a tall and handsome elf who has grown into a fat boy. Both the brother and sister felt a strong contrast. This guy is definitely very conspicuous in the elves. Why bother? If you know the name, you can contact him privately in the game. I hope the distance is not too far, otherwise you can't afford the message fee. Yes, private messages in the game are not free. It's similar to postal services. The farther the distance, the more expensive it is. Private messages across races and countries also cost extra. There is no free chat system in the game. Bad review. Zhongwen is buying a small amount of game coins in the game to open the Magic Dragon AOTN studio. Those who mainly pay for it are required to provide a certain amount of game coins. In the game of Magic Planet, the system does not sell game coins. Rich people who want to buy game coins must buy them from players. The player group has not produced so many tradable game coins, so you can't buy them if you want. So in the early stage, the price of game coins is still relatively high. Occasionally, someone is in urgent need of game coins, and buying a large amount to drive up the price does not count. Because it will fall back soon. Now 1 gold coin is equivalent to about 23 Chinese yuan. Huaxia currency is a currency system issued by several Chinese powers. It is also the most popular currency on Pangu Star. After asking Zhongwen, he found out that his initial quota was to buy 10,000 gold coins. Xiaoming thought it was okay and said he would mail it to him. The excited little fat hugged his little Ming Ming. Both the brother and sister were disgusted. Zhongwen said he would buy it at a price of 25 yuan per gold coin. No need to mail it. You can trade it in the mall of the game forum. Brother Wen didn't want to wait too long. He immediately pushed Xiaoming into their respective game warehouses and opened the mall to place orders for transactions. The transaction was successful, and Zhongwen also bought more than 1,000 gold coins that other players were selling. After the transaction was completed, they came out to continue eating. Xiaojing looked at the two uncles and shook her head. Zhongwen completed the task and had one less thing to worry about. He thought of the hunter's secret realm again. He strongly requested to go again. With Xiaoming nearby, he would feel more confident when practicing his mind ability. Xiaojing had other things to do this time, so she didn't have time to play with them. Fortunately, she didn't come. Xiaoming and Zhongwen had just entered the secret realm. A few more vicious guys passed by their grove. They rushed over to rob them, but found that their pockets were empty. They killed them both to vent their anger. Xiaoming habitually wanted to use coins to resist. But he found that he didn't have a penny in this secret realm. There was nothing to play, and then he died. It was not easy to master a skill. But he couldn't use it. Xiaoming wanted to complain about himself. Even if he used Neza, he could still make a few gestures. Of course, the result of death would not change. The good mood of earning more than 200,000 yuan just now was gone. After leaving the game cabin, Xiaoming and Zhongwen looked at each other. This is too unlucky. Hiding in a place where there are not many people, you can also encounter such a perverted killer. Having this idea can only be said that they are too naive, and they still don't know how cruel this secret realm is. In a game, you can be resurrected after death. The two did not stay depressed for long. They prepared to enter the hunter's secret realm together again. System prompt: the player's character in the secret realm died. You must wait until the next day to enter the same secret realm again. Zhongwen did not want to enter another secret realm, because he would not be able to find the hunter's secret realm if he entered. So he went to sleep. Xiaoming did not have this concern. He randomly entered two secret realms. One was a fighting game, and he was quickly KO'd. The other was a game of flying a plane to fight. When Xiaoming was in outer space, he was okay when he used his consciousness to control the detector. When he drove this kind of plane in the atmosphere, his skills were very average. He barely rushed to the first boss and was drowned by a hail of bullets. Is it so difficult to randomly enter a fun secret realm? Try one last time, and go to sleep after that. This time he appeared in a more modern secret realm, which should be a large secret realm from the looks of it. Xiaoming also felt that his body shape was very strange, much larger than a normal person. The proportions with the surrounding houses and pedestrians were not quite right. Looking down at himself, this skin and body shape should be a monster, right? Looking around, no one noticed him, and no one was afraid. Is it because they can't see him? Or are they used to it? Xiaoming didn't dare to move around casually, because if he wasn't careful, he could easily kill 1 or 2 people, or destroy some buildings. Xiaoming squatted in a small, deserted courtyard, turned on the translator, and listened to the conversations of passers-by. I didn't hear any useful information. He didn't notice that on a roof behind him, there was a guy in strange clothes observing him. Xiaoming can also feel an urge in his body to destroy and eat people. But this impulse quickly dissipated in the face of Xiaoming's superpowers and lazy personality. I don't know how long it took, but Xiaoming felt that the surrounding scenery was slowly getting bigger. This is because his body shape is slowly shrinking. Finally condensed into human form. There is a diamond-shaped bone fragment at the yintang. Kind of like a birthmark. This made me feel much more comfortable, but I suddenly realized that I had no clothes on me. There was nothing to wear around. In desperation, Xiaoming put the teacher Nian Beast's stocking uniform on himself. Played a cross-dressing game. I have avoided exposure for the time being, but why do I feel that my shame level is rising instead of falling? The main body of Xiaoming Nianmen is actually the uniform, and the human form inside is virtual. The abilities are actually in the clothes. For example, Xiaoming now has the ability bonus to teach others skills. Also possess certain research and learning abilities. Of course, Xiaoming's attention is not on his ability at the moment, and he can't see anyone like this now. What to do? Also simple. Xiaoming spent more than 40 minutes designing the uniforms of Nian Beast into 2 versions for men and women. What he was wearing immediately turned into a male teacher's uniform. Only then did I have time to organize my thoughts. Based on the information provided by the system, my role should have been the owner of this yard. But burp fart. After death, he transformed into that kind of monster. That is your own identity. If he had followed his instincts, he would have wreaked havoc and cannibalism. Something like cannibalism must be mosaic, and it won't really make players feel anything. Then he will develop along the path of monster. Become an increasingly powerful monster. Or be killed by the corresponding mysterious force on the human side. Now I have chosen another path. I am still a monster in my nature and have given up those evil desires. The appearance was forced into this special anthropomorphic form. Continue to live a human life in human form. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 66. In the secret realm, Xiaoming entered his home, a 3-story building. The architectural style and interior decoration style of the building are different from those of the New Han Kingdom. This place is mainly simple, and it looks okay. It's just that there is no bed in the bedroom, which is very strange. Where do you sleep? On the floor? It looks like it. His previous life was a lonely dead house, and he didn't know how long he had been dead. There was a lot of dust in the house. I didn't see my body before I died. Could it be that I ate it before? So disgusting. Xiaoming summoned the maid mind beast, and she went to clean the room happily. In this secret realm dominated by mysterious power, mind power is generally unimpeded. Or it can be said that the mind power simulated by Xiaoming's superpower can be used at will. In fact, he can also simulate other powers. For example, chakra. But he doesn't know how to use chakra yet. Check the belongings before death, look at his previous photos, and compare his appearance in the mirror. Xiaoming smacked his lips. Not much has changed. It's still an ordinary look. Can't you give him a good-looking character? The nine-tailed fox is really too much. So far, all of Xiaoming's characters have the kind of looks that you can't find in a crowd. The passbook shows that there is still some money in the bank. There is a bank card, but I can't remember the password. I found the identity certificate. The name of my character before his death was Lin Tai. I'll go to the bank to handle it when I have time in the future. I have to have some money to spend. The water and electricity in the room have not been turned off, and the time of death should not be long. The coin popped out and killed a mouse. It seems that this skill can be used in the secret realm. The maid's mind beast is professional. The house is clean and tidy at a speed visible to the naked eye. At this time, Xiaoming realized that his predecessor was a wood-carving figurine maker. The house is full of handmade figurines, most of which are girls of various styles. There are also many monsters, mechas, and superheroes. The craftsmanship is not bad. One of the real-scale broadswords caught Xiaoming's special attention. Because it is a combination sword, composed of 6 swords combined into a broadsword. It can also be used separately. On Pangostar, this is the famous Claude 6 style combination sword. Xiaoming knows it roughly but not very clearly. I didn't expect it to be here, so I took it and studied it carefully. While studying, he dismantled many metal utensils at home. With the help of Neza, he made a combination sword made of metal. Although he can't use a knife, it's definitely cool to carry this out and pretend to be cool. After exiting the secret realm, Xiaoming went to the Yellow Emperor Galaxy to look at the starry sky for a while. Then he went back to the game cabin to sleep. June 10th, the 5th day of the game launch. Early in the morning, Xiao Jing'er looked at the somewhat empty house and was indignant. Her electronic pet, the little orange cat, also meowed and joined in. This morning, Zhang Wen drove away in the bedroom, and Xiao Jing had been looking forward to his departure. But he took Zhang Xiaoming away with the bedroom. Didn't you say you don't have to go to work before? I know you've been fooled. Fatty. Give birth to a son without a penis. Xiao Jing cursed bitterly. The girl's curse has doubled its lethality to the otaku. The fat man who was driving the bedroom sneezed several times at this time. Even Xiaoming, who was talking to him on the phone, was worried that the cold would be transmitted along the radio waves. Brother Wen, are you okay? Otherwise, let's forget it today. Let's go home. Don't get sick. Are you caring about me? Xiaoming Ming, I'm so touched. Zhang Wen habitually put on a bitch mask. Go away, disgust others. Xiaoming heard Zhang Wen's mean words and knew that he should be fine. Isn't this just to disgust others? Xiaoming Ming, you are really far-sighted, blah blah. That's right, because Zhang Wen quickly completed the task of purchasing gold coins last night. He was praised by several other major sponsors of Long Aotian Studio. As agreed, he was elected as the CEO of this month. After Xiaoming learned about this, he felt that the gold coins were sold at a low price. If he had known earlier, he would have cheated him a little more. The studio has already rented a venue. It doesn't need to be in a very good location. It's enough to rent a cheap large warehouse. Zhang Wen used to do the figurine business at home. The studio has only bought a few room modules such as offices and bathrooms for the time being. The huge space is reserved for the bedrooms of several founders and future employees. As the first CEO, Zhang Wen's first order was: everyone gather at the company this morning and play games together for a few days. There are a total of 7 people, and the shareholders are Zhang Wen and 5 others. They are responsible for paying. Of course, they also make the main money. Purchasing equipment, renting office space, hiring employees, purchasing items and equipment in the game, etc. As long as it costs money, they pay for it. Of course, they also have to make the final decision. As for how they divide the work and cooperate, Xiaoming doesn't care at all. It seems that they don't care much either. This group of people is more like a group of enthusiasts, looking for an excuse to get together to play games. There are currently only 2 employees. One is Xiaoming himself, a friend of shareholder Zhang Wen. The other is a 17-year-old boy, a nephew of a certain shareholder, who was drafted. Everyone got to know each other. The 5 major shareholders went to discuss some things. Xiaoming and the boy were bored, so they entered the game cabin separately. It seems that they are all people who can enter the secret realm. Xiaoming moved too fast for a moment, and he entered the hunter's secret realm according to habit. Originally, he had discussed with brother Wen before, and today we teamed up to enter the hunter's secret realm together. This is terrible, and I guess the fat man will nag me for several days. Xiaoming swore to the sky that he was not trying to hide from Zhang Wen. Entering the hunter's secret realm where the character has died, the system also provides 2 options. First, you can start over completely. That means that the new character's telekinesis in the hunter's secret realm must be trained again. Of course, Xiaoming's telekinesis and telekinesis beasts that have been trained in reality will not disappear. Second, players can also inherit the abilities of the previous characters, change to a new identity and a new location to explore the secret realm. Players who are not satisfied with the telekinesis attributes of their characters can choose the first option, and Xiaoming will of course choose the second option. The place where they landed this time is a small village, and there is an endless primeval forest outside the village. The geographical environment feels a bit like Biang village. Xiaoming is an orphan in the village. He has no name. The villagers call him Mutiou. Mutiou grew up eating at many people's homes. He is just 14 years old this year. Next, Xiaoming will choose his future path. When he was on Greed Island, Xiaoming heard Ganshu talk about hunters and hunter exams. But Xiaoming asked himself that his fighting ability was too weak. Don't do such a suicidal thing. The primeval forest outside the village is his treasure. It's so fun to stay in the village to hone his telekinesis and go into the forest to explore from time to time. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 67. Xiaoming went back to his thatched hut to clean it up first, without the need for the maid's mind beast to help. Throwing some weeds and stones out of the door was considered to be the end of the cleaning. The house was bare, without even a piece of furniture. There was only a nest made of weeds, leaves, and bird feathers. It was covered with a piece of worn-out animal skin. There were also a few pieces of food wrapped in leaves in the nest, like steamed bread, and a broken pottery jar filled with water next to the nest. There was also a wooden fork standing in the corner, and no one knew what it was used for. Look at the linen clothes on his body. It was worse than what beggars wore. There was no money at all. Without the coin-flipping skill, Xiaoming's courage immediately dropped by more than half. Let's work on the mind power. The left hand is the position to release the coin-flipping skill. The right hand had been using mind power to imitate this game before, and it was also very good at it. So Xiaoming spent a little time to make the wooden right hand have similar abilities. Of course, this time it was not a coin flick, but ordinary small objects. The most useful thing now is the stone. Xiaoming calls this telekinesis ability flipping. It is different from the coin flicking skill. This ability is unique to the character Miu Miu in the Hunter's Secret Realm. The attack power is enhanced by telekinesis. If the characters in other secret realms want to use it, they have to develop it themselves. There are no fields in the village, and it is impossible to grow crops in such a place. The villagers rely on gathering and hunting in the forest to make a living. Once a month, the strong hunters in the village will go to the distant town to exchange some daily necessities with wild animals and handicrafts. Xiaoming turned Neza into an iron rod and walked into the forest with the iron rod. Several children in the village also came in together. The periphery of the forest is still relatively safe. Children can come in to pick wild vegetables and fruits, or catch some insects and pick up some firewood. After going deeper, the children can't go deeper. Several children also grabbed the corner of Miu Miu's clothes. They didn't let him go further into the forest. Xiaoming rubbed the hair of several children and told them that Brother Miu was already an adult. You can go further into the forest. You are still young, so don't follow us. The children in the village are relatively simple. They believed what Xiaoming said, and then asked Brother Miu to bring back some good things for them. Seeing Brother Miu's promise, the children walked back happily and continued to pick up fruits diligently. Xiaoming continued to walk. He had picked some wild fruits along the way and gave them to the children. He also ate one himself. It was a little sour, a little sweet, and a little astringent. This kind of fruit is not eaten by anyone on Pangustar. In the outer forest, you can clearly see traces of being trampled by people. Here, the traces of human beings have been greatly reduced. The old trees in the outer area have been cut down by the villagers, and only here will there be larger and more ancient trees. The leaves on the top of the trees are tall and vigorous, with tangled roots, lush branches and leaves, and strange shapes, blocking the sunlight. Only spots of light fall down and are caught by the branches and leaves below. Very few of them can be scattered on the ground. Xiaoming knew that this was still good. If he went deeper into the forest, the situation would be even worse. There was almost no sunlight in the bottom of the forest. Only a little refracted and scattered light allowed people to see things clearly. Xiaoming did not intend to go that deep. This place was enough for now. The dense forest was definitely not a safe environment. All kinds of predators, big and small, were lurking and waiting for prey. Fortunately, there were not many large predators that could pose a threat to humans. They also divided their territory and repelled each other. Xiaoming held the iron rod in his left hand and a handful of stones in his right hand. He continued to use circle to observe the surroundings. Circle is a technique for using telekinesis, which lays a field of telekinesis perception around the user. Release-type telekinesis users are more proficient in this technique. Xiaoming's current circle range is about 20 meters. If you concentrate your telekinesis to explore in one direction, it will be more than 50 meters. Any creature within this range cannot escape his induction. Most of them are snakes, insects, rats and ants. Xiaoming was worried about encountering poisonous snakes, so he used stones to kill all the snakes. I heard that the snake head separated from the body can also bite people. Xiaoming broke the snake head with Neza and picked it up from a distance. Tie 5 or 6 dead headless snakes to the iron rod. Continue to explore in the forest. Relying on the circle to avoid a terrible beast, Xiaoming did not see it directly. Just feeling its breath, Xiaoming avoided it from a distance. On the way, he found 2 nests of ant-like insects fighting. Xiaoming also visited them with interest for a while. The telepathic perception found that there was some restlessness in the distance, but it was not dangerous. Xiaoming sneaked over quietly. When he got closer, he saw that there were more than a dozen wild birds beating some animals. At first glance, the wild birds were ground birds and could not fly. Use condensation before attacking to observe their vital points. Then flick. The stones flicked towards the wild birds. Caught off guard, 3 were killed. The rest scattered. Xiaoming approached and saw that it was a creature that looked a bit like a pig, which had been killed by the group of birds. A lot of meat was taken away. Xiaoming untied the hemp rope around his waist, tied the pig and the 3 birds together, and dragged them in his hands. Let's go back to the village quickly. To go back to the village, just look for bright light. Xiaoming also left a lot of traces along the way. He won't get lost. Although the group of birds dispersed, they didn't give up. It was just a tactical retreat. After that, they followed Xiaoming around, observing and testing. However, they didn't know that Xiaoming's circle could easily find them, and 2 of them were killed by stones. Then they realized how powerful they were. This time they really dispersed. It just gave Xiaoming more harvest. Xiaoming, who returned to the village, was welcomed by the villagers. Even the village chief was shocked. The most powerful hunter in the village didn't have such a good harvest as him in a trip to the forest. Alas, it is not fair to compare an ordinary person with an user. Even if this user is a half-baked one. Xiaoming left 2 snakes, a wild bird, and a pig's hind leg. The rest were handed over to the village chief. Some beautiful wild bird feathers were also distributed to the children. Every household in the village also sent gifts. Furniture, clothes, and daily necessities. The prey left by Xiaoming was also roasted by the villagers. The taste was quite fragrant. At the same time, the village chief also instructed the strong laborers in the village to build a new wooden house for Xiaoming. I will be able to move to a new home soon. It turns out that giving away houses is a means of winning over people in all worlds. In this unknown village where Xiaoming lives, everyone knows everyone. The village chief is not a person in power who can abuse his power. Instead, he is a guide who leads the whole village to survive. If he does not do well, he will be abandoned by the whole village. The prey Xiaoming offers also becomes the common property of the whole village. Everyone benefits. That is why everyone adds so much furniture to Xiaoming. The strong enjoy good treatment, which is the survival wisdom of the villagers close to biological instinct. Xiaoming is full and satisfied. Thinking of the process of this hunting, I feel that there is one thing that is very troublesome. That is, there is no space equipment such as personal warehouse, backpack, and inventory. There are too few things that can be carried with you. In this secret realm, of course, solving problems depends on telekinesis. So, Xiaoming's 5th telekinetic butler was born. The function is to have storage space. In the hunter's secret realm, the butler's storage space is about a 10-10-10 warehouse. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 68. Leave the hunter's secret realm. Xiaoming exited the game warehouse directly. Storage space is so important. Xiaoming needs to figure out how versatile the space is as soon as possible. In the bedroom, Xiaoming tried to summon the housekeeper's mind beast. It was indeed summoned. But Xiaoming's wishful thinking failed to come true. The storage space of the housekeeper's mind beast is still empty in reality. I couldn't bring anything out of the game. At the same time, the space is only 1 cubic meter in size. Only 1,000th of the hunter's secret realm. Hearing a sound outside the bedroom, Xiaoming opened the door and came out to take a look. Outside were 5 young guys, all wearing security uniforms. Zhang Wen was in front of them, not knowing what he was communicating with them. Zhang Wen was surprised when he saw Xiaoming suddenly come out of the bedroom. "Brother, you came out so early. It's not lunchtime yet." Someone was there, and Zhang Wen saved face for Xiaoming. "We'll talk about my business later." "Brother Wen, what are you doing?" "I'm not picking a security guard. Just come and help me." Speaking of this, he didn't look very good. Xiaoming came over and chatted with Zhang Wen and found out, 4 of the 5 shareholders had entered the game, leaving only Zhang Wen, who was forced to stay outside. Everyone can't enter the game room, someone has to watch the room. As CEO, Zhang Wen has to lead by example. "Does your face look good?" All because these people forgot to hire security guards. Of course, Zhang Wen also quickly contacted the security company. Request the hiring of 2 security guards. The company quickly sent 5 people over for Zhang Wen to choose. Zhang Wenwen originally wanted to just choose 2 ordinary ones. When you see Xiaoming come out, drag Xiaoming to choose. Xiaoming's mental power was still surging, so he took advantage of the situation and used Ning to observe the 5 people. Sure enough, we can see the life energy, or aura, or magnetic field, emanating from the bodies of the 5 people. It doesn't matter how you call it. Through this aura, Xiaoming can roughly judge the physical health status and mental emotions of these people. This is not a skill in the game, it is just the effect produced when superpowers imitate the application of telekinesis. There is no prompt from the system, Xiaoming just knows in his heart what kind of aura represents what kind of situation. It seems like the qi-gazing technique mentioned in some novels. Xiaoming chose 2 people who were healthier and had a brighter mentality. Zhang Wen immediately arranged for 2 security guards to sign a contract and get to work. The other 3 drove away. Seeing the little fat man's aura quickly brighten up. What an honest reaction. 2 security guards went to the security room at the entrance to start work. The security room is a supporting module they drove from the security company and needs to be rented. Xiaoming and Zhang Wen sat down and chatted. Only then did Xiaoming tell Zhang Wen about his new mind beast, the housekeeper, and stewardship. Although the housekeeper's ability is quite abnormal, Xiaoming has no intention of hiding it from his good brother. Besides, Zhang Wen had already regarded Xiaoming as an authentic successor of Suanmen. This ability is nothing. He had asked Xiaoming before if he had any storage rings or jade slips for transmitting his skills. Xiaoming was defeated by his imagination at that time. Looking at it now, I see that he is still knowledgeable. The jade slip for passing on the merits, teacher, the storage ring, housekeeper, I actually have them all today. In fact, what Xiaoming needs to worry about is whether this information will be leaked and whether it will attract people with ulterior motives. Judging from the cooperation in the past few years, Brother Wen is still very strict. Telling Zhang Wen now is to give him new hope and direction for his efforts. Zhang Wen also has the ability to subdue telekinesis beasts, if only he could find storage space himself. Wouldn't that be nice? No, as soon as this guy finished listening, he hurriedly logged into the secret realm. I even forgot about forming a team with Xiaoming. This time they were dispersed in the secret realm, and they really weren't the ones to take the blame. Xiaoming breathed a sigh of relief. Have a cup of tea and wait for a while. Zhang Wen was not seen coming out either. Nodding, he went back to the house and entered the game room. Switch between the 4 characters of Magic Planet. Sure enough, every character can summon a butler. The 4 characters open the same new storage space. The size is the same as in the Hunter's Secret Realm, 1000 cubic meters. Now you can transfer items at any time, anywhere, and at will without relying on the system's warehouse function. Storage space consumes Xiaoming's superpower and cannot be wasted. So general things should still be stored in the system's warehouse. Only things that are important and need to be moved should be placed in the storage space. For example, those 3 skill marks, double slash, dual wield, and monthly passive resurrection. Xiaoming still can't decide who to give this mark of resurrection to. I had to save it first. Log into Xiaoming again and find that Team 33 is listening to the instructor's speech in the conference room. What we are talking about is the key points of operating a space probe. This means that the team members will have more opportunities to go out for activities. Most of the team members were quite excited and listened with rapt attention. The few team members who don't like to go out much are not so serious. Captain Joe could see clearly from the sidelines. But considering the fun nature of this team, there is no forcing. Xiaoming secretly used his telekinesis ability, and it really worked. And the storage space is the same as that of Pangustar. In this way, the Yanhuang 3 Galaxy and Pangu are likely to share the same storage space. This is another advantage. It's a pity that Xiaoming has no desire to be the villain of the galaxy. Modern society does not dare to waste time. Xiaoming told Maomoer about this. Maomoer crashed on the spot, probably because he was communicating with the nine-tailed fox. The team members listened to the instructor's instructions. They immediately entered the internship stage and drove the detector out for 10 minutes in batches. Each batch of 5 people was led by the captain outside. The instructor coordinated in the transport ship. If you don't want to drive, you can apply for no internship, no problem at all. Xiaoming was specially approved by Captain Zhou not to do internship, and Xiaoming's skills did not need to participate in this internship. Xiaoming ran to the material warehouse to find the warehouse keeper. He wanted to see what he could buy on the transport ship. Is there anything that can be put into the storage space for the main body to play? The warehouse keeper opened the warehouse door with the lowest level of authority and let Xiaoming go in and pick whatever he wanted. Come out and settle the account together. He didn't come in with him. Aren't you letting the wolf into the sheepfold? After entering the warehouse, Xiaoming first put a circle to check the location of all the bright and dark monitors in the warehouse. Find the blind spots and dead corners. After remembering, Xiaoming began to look through the things in the warehouse. There are military and civilian ones. There are no guns and ammunition in this warehouse. The things here are provided for the reserve forces like Zhang Xiaoming. Most of them are old and obsolete. There are also a large number of broken things. Xiaoming can make them good as long as he repairs them with his superpowers. Stay calm, don't be reckless, you are still on the transport ship, you can't do this kind of thing. Wait until you get to Quafu in the future. After looking through it for a long time, Xiaoming really found a very interesting thing, Neza Type 2 Auxiliary Mechanical Arm Guard. Isn't that a reward given by the game's Arctic Ice? I didn't expect that there is such a thing in reality. The game reward is Type 6, and this is Type 2. It looks much older. Who can tell me what type the military is using? Xiaoming is indeed a little curious. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 69. The Neza 2 mechanical auxiliary arm guard in Xiaoming's hand has long been out of energy. Although this model has a solar charging panel, it has not been exposed to the sun for too long. How can it be charged? Xiaoming had to find a corresponding model of charged battery in the warehouse and install it. This time it can finally be used. Neza 2 is installed on the arm like 6. It is also operated by consciousness. 6 appears in the game, and consciousness operation is achieved with the help of the game cabin. The real-world 2-type mechanical arm relies on the nerve-sensing device close to the skin. It is operated by sensing the user's nerve pulses. It is basically the same as the principle of mechanical prosthesis. But this requires long-term and strict training to achieve. The average person's brain will not issue instructions to an organ that it does not have. In the case of mechanical prosthesis, the person already has that organ. Type 2 also has only one mechanical arm that can be installed with various tools. The fully unfolded mechanical arm has 7 sections and is more than 2 meters long, and it can be further lengthened as needed. In order to prevent neural operation errors. The arm guard also has an electronic operating system. It can be connected to tactical glasses. Electronic operation is not as fast and accurate as neural operation. But the error rate is much lower than neural operation. Now the Neza 2 arm guard is already an obsolete model in the military. It sank to the bottom of the warehouse. This one was just picked up by Xiaoming. Neural operation is not difficult for Xiaoming. Xiaoming is already very accustomed to conscious operation in the game. The operation training of the Neza series in reality was completed by the simulation game designed by the Nine-Tailed Fox. After installing the arm guard, it was really easy to operate. I have dug up a treasure. This time Xiaoming did not do anything sneaky. According to the rules, he took Neza 2 and a few spare batteries to the door to check out. The warehouse keeper was also stunned when he saw Neza 2. He didn't know that there was still a backlog of such things in the warehouse. Since someone wants it, then sell it. Anyway, it just takes up space. Xiaoming returned to the game warehouse wearing Neza. On the way, he met Yang Yang and chatted with him. In the days that followed, more team members saw Xiaoming's Neza. They all found it very interesting. This led to a Neza fever in the entire fleet. Similar products in the entire fleet's inventory were quickly sold out. They did not have the right to purchase advanced equipment. They could only buy obsolete goods such as Type 2. This was something the military had never expected before. Later, they made a lot of money because of it. In the explorer's house in Wushan town, Xiaoming first made a few general crossbows and stored them. Then he took Lu Xiaomei out to go to the Huo's Chamber of Commerce to discuss the tailor shop. Lu Xiaomei came to the town for the first time, and everything she saw was new. She dragged the explorer around the town and watched the excitement everywhere. Xiaoming had to play with her and pay for her. Fortunately, she didn't have to carry a bag in the game. While accompanying Lu Xiaomei shopping, Xiaoming did find some good things. Telekinesis is easy to use, and the telekinesis condensation at this time played the role of an alternative identification technique. Xiaoming had already checked the things in the major stores several times. This time, he mainly picked up some bargains at roadside stalls. Most of them were dusty antiques, foreign items that were not known to ordinary humans. He bought a few meteorites, which were equivalent to high-grade metal materials. He bought a picture of a beautiful woman, and Lu Xiaomei blushed and glared at him several times. In fact, Xiaoming wanted the drawing hidden under the painting. Although Lu Xiaomei was still not satisfied, she knew she was embarrassed. She took the initiative to end the tour and came to the Huo's Chamber of Commerce with the explorer. When the shopkeeper Huo heard that Lu Xiaomei was a senior tailor, he quickly signed her up to be a senior worker of the Huo's Chamber of Commerce. There was no stronger tailor than Lu Xiaomei in the Huo's Chamber of Commerce in Wushan town for the time being. Lu Xiaomei didn't need to open a shop, and she directly became the shopkeeper of the tailoring department here. She became a rich and beautiful woman. Arranged for the clerk to take the excited Lu Xiaomei to work. Shopkeeper Huo and the explorer went to the shopkeeper's private room on the third floor to talk. Shopkeeper Huo first paid Xiaoming all the benefits that he could receive this month. He did not ask more about this matter, but took out a small pile of antiques for the explorers to practice archaeology. The explorers used archaeology one by one, and the information they obtained had to be shared with shopkeeper Huo publicly, and the occasional money was split 50-50. If you encounter a special gain with the lowest probability, you have to discuss it. This time, he was not so lucky. What Xiaoming gained in this process was the experience of archaeology and a little money. Shopkeeper Huo knew a lot of information. Xiaoming had little knowledge of that information and did not understand it. Shopkeeper Huo had a lot of room for operation. After that, Xiaoming also sorted out his things. He did not avoid shopkeeper Huo in the process. Shopkeeper Huo picked out all the relics of the real Han Qinlong at a glance. This was exactly Xiaoming's purpose. Shopkeeper Huo had seen Han Dong and knew what was going on. He was also willing to help. His identification technique was photographed, and all the relics saw the light of day again. Most of the things Xiaoming suspected to be Han Qinlong's relics were indeed real, and they were all decorations without attributes. Among them, there was one with attributes. It was on the first day of the game. The relic of Han Qinlong found in the skunk den when the explorer was doing the wild boar expulsion mission. After identification by shopkeeper Huo, it was found that it was a Tier 1 strategic treasure, warrior order. The morale of the hero team wearing it increased by 1. How did Han Qinlong get the strategic treasure? Or was it a plot setting, and this strategic treasure came from him? To explain, almost all strategic equipment and treasures are not just one. The lower the rank, the more there are. There are very few exceptions. There is also a medal of courage in the deceased, which can only increase the morale of the pirate troops under his command. These two treasures should be given to Han Dong. Human troops need morale more. Now put them in the housekeeper's space. Also put in the housekeeper's space are masks, Si-Nan, water shield rings, water jade necklaces, ice crystal bracelets, David Diozzi's heart, etc. Shopkeeper Huo and the explorer also appraised the foreign items bought today. Although it is not a rare treasure, but it can be sold at a good price. Shopkeeper Huo bought it to the Huo's Chamber of Commerce. Shopkeeper Huo also wanted the meteorite, but Xiao Ming was reluctant to give it to him. The diver character is a blacksmith, and he will definitely use it in the future. Finally, there is the picture of the beauty. Shopkeeper Huo's identification technique finally revealed its true form. It was a recipe for a level 2 bloodthirsty potion, and it was a special ancient recipe. It was more powerful than ordinary bloodthirsty potions, and less harmful to the body. The materials were also more expensive. Xiao Ming used an archaeology technique to hit it, and he was lucky. He successfully compared the ancient recipe with a better formula. The potion effect was even better. The price-performance ratio was once again improved. Shopkeeper Huo was crazy watching. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 70. It is said that humans have been coveting the bloodthirsty skills of the orcs for a long time. It stimulates potential and bursts out combat power during battle. It weakens for a period of time after the battle. This is a very useful ability. The physique of orcs is generally stronger than that of humans, and the damage to the orcs' bodies by bloodthirstiness is relatively low. Humans can only pursue the use of potions to achieve the effect of bloodthirstiness. Alchemists racked their brains for this. So far, the effects of mass-produced bloodthirsty potions of the human race are not very satisfactory. The damage to the human body is still a bit too large. The strategic effect of the potion is greatly reduced. Many ordinary soldiers need to recuperate for a week or even several weeks to recover their bodies after using it once. The orcs use bloodthirsty skills, and generally use them 2 or 3 times a day. It can be seen that the gap is huge. Therefore, the importance of this special ancient bloodthirsty potion formula to the human race is self-evident. And through it, you can also glimpse the veil of ancient alchemy. It is conceivable that its value is almost inestimable. Some friends will doubt that the game is different from reality. Can you pick up leaks like this? Such an important thing is so easy for the explorer to buy, it seems unreasonable, right? The actual reason is, the total consumption of the explorer in Wushan town has reached a certain amount. Xiao Ming has been doing international trade between several tribes. That's why this kind of plot appears, and the hidden formula is occasionally encountered by the explorer. This is a very test of the player's eyesight and luck. At the beginning of setting the plot, the creators did not expect that there would be a guy like Xiao Ming who came with a golden finger. Xiao Ming himself could not expect that he would learn the application of telekinesis in the Hunter secret realm. Then he used the skills of telekinesis to pick up leaks in the Magic Planet game. It can only be said that there is no coincidence. Shopkeeper Huo was quick and grabbed the formula in his hand. Then he immediately felt distressed, and hurriedly smoothed the drawing paper and carefully checked whether it was damaged. Of course, this is a game, he can't take away the ownership. It's just a momentary reaction. Shopkeeper Huo began to persuade the explorer with all his heart, and he had to buy the formula no matter what. Xiao Ming had the initiative, so he certainly couldn't give up easily. We didn't lack gold coins. He insisted that the Huo's Chamber of Commerce had to exchange something of equal value. Shopkeeper Huo's identification skills also played a part in the credit. He certainly couldn't not exchange it with him. The special formula of the second level enhancement was urgently needed by the human race. Its value was no less than that of the third level advanced things. There was nothing suitable for exchange in the shop of the Huo's Chamber of Commerce in Wushantown. There were a few valuable things, but it was a pity that Xiaoming didn't need them. Fortunately, they were old friends, and Xiaoming agreed to give the formula to Shopkeeper Huo first. Shopkeeper Huo was responsible for transferring the appropriate things from the Chamber of Commerce as soon as possible. With Xiaoming's identity, he didn't worry that the Chamber of Commerce would dare to deceive him. The shadow warrior who secretly protected the explorer would report this matter to Mr. Guo. Xiaoming thought about their expressions with a bit of bad intention. Before the transaction, Xiaoming still got the formula in his hands first, and quickly transferred it to the researcher through the housekeeper space to use the fine research technique. Then he returned it to the shopkeeper Huo. He did not encounter good luck again, and the fine research only gained some experience as a life professional cartographer. After the transaction was completed, Xiaoming turned his attention to Handong. There was nothing special, it was nothing more than exploring a large area of the map. Picked up a lot of resources. Occupied a lumber mill. There was no hope of returning to the teleportation point in a short time. Xiaoming switched to other roles. Leave the explorer to Xiao Er to do the Chamber of Commerce task. Go to the adventure map of the researcher. According to the situation of the elves in Tanshan City, analyze it. The 4-puppet canoe of the researcher will definitely be very popular. The question is how to expand the benefits. Xiaoming looked for opportunities everywhere in Tanshan City, and finally saw the bounty list outside the city hall. The management of Tanshan City also realized the value of puppets. But the elves themselves love trees. They don't want to do things like felling wood to make puppets. Because they have to build ships, they have to cut down some wood. They are already very distressed. The elf leaders have imposed very strict restrictions on the production of wood in the archipelago. So there is that bounty. I hope that some citizens can make a breakthrough contribution in the field of national defense. The bounty reward is much higher than the reward for the task. This bounty is simply tailor-made for Xiaoming. Xiaoming's warehouses are interconnected with multiple characters, plus the storage space of the Mind Beast Butler. Even if he directly resells the wood, he will make a lot of money. Of course, Xiaoming will not do such a low-level reselling. Make the wood into puppets and canoes. The way to earn a lot of technical processing fees is king. Xiaoming operated the researcher to accept the bounty. There were 2 level 3 elf guards who took the researcher into the city hall. The characteristics of the elf architecture: 1 is to protect the ecology. The second is beautiful. This distressed elf tribe can't change its inherent habits. All the buildings in the city hall are made of pure white stone. The surface is shiny, which shows that it must have been polished today. In addition to the accompanying trees, there are countless exquisite stone sculptures in the building complex. Each one is as good as the work of the master sculptor on Pangustar. It's a game. Such a small building complex has made Xiaoming a little dizzy. In an office in a small courtyard, he was received by an elf official whose rank could not be seen. The senior official looked a little expectant and a little numb. This bounty has been offered for almost 10 years. In the early years, some elves came to accept this bounty. The suggestions they put forward were all kinds of strange. Almost none of them had real effects and promotion value. In recent years, no one of the same race has paid attention to this bounty. There are even rumors that the bounty is a scam for the elves. Even if a brilliant suggestion is put forward, it will be rejected by the top leaders. This is a deliberate suppression of new elves. This is naturally the words of venting from some elves whose suggestions were rejected. However, this senior official knew that even now, the elf top leaders are still very concerned about this bounty. The reward amount was just increased 5 days ago. Seeing the researcher, although it was a little strange that this was a human, he was still very enthusiastic. It is said that humans have flexible brains, many tricks. Maybe there will be gains. Xiaoming did not waste words and went straight to the point. He took out 4 wooden puppets and some wood. He made a 4-puppet canoe on the spot. This senior official was just like those ascetic high-ranking monks who had seen the explorers making universal crossbows. First, he was completely dumbfounded, and then he went crazy. After being in a daze for 3 minutes, the senior official called 4 elf guards above level 4. He ordered them to guard the place and not allow anyone to enter or leave. He picked up the canoe and ran out. Xiaoming didn't know where he ran to. Xiaoming also expected this reaction. He was even used to it. Looking at the senior official's back, he sincerely praised, "Brother, you are really strong." Xiaoming didn't deliberately commit suicide. The reputation of the elves is almost the best among all races. His own value is also there. At worst, he can still escape by time and space jump. What's so scary? The retreat is so safe. If not now, when?